How are we there, guys? And welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. Welcome, Benno. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Yourself? Here's hoping Chat can hear me for my intro this week.
Absolutely. Give us a shout out. Make sure you guys can hear us all. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to everybody. Obviously first podcast back for the seat, or for the new year, 2021. Hopefully it's better than 2020. Can only get better, surely. Obviously just give us a shout in the chat if you guys are struggling to hear us or anything like that. We will be lucky enough to be joined on tonight's show by Michael Cain, Novocastrian. So another Novocastrian on the show, diehard Jets fan. Obviously, if you don't know who Michael Cain is, he is a multi-platform media and entertainment innovator, is what the word I was trying to look at. Sorry, guys. He's been on pretty much everything from Channel 10. Obviously, he's the same man who done the Mark Viduka special. Who can't forget that? An absolute cracking interview with Dukes all the way over there in Zagreb. It was a spectacular interview. Did you catch that, Ben?
Oh, I've seen part of it. I haven't finished watching all of it yet.
Wow, how un-Australian of you.
It's on the list of things to finish, like the Jets AMA.
Like the Jets AMA, yeah, we'll get into that.
Sorry, the Jetstream AMA from the other day.
We're lucky enough to be joined by Michael. Obviously, thanks to him for giving up a bit of his time today. Obviously, an accomplished journalist, broadcaster, television interviewer, producer, writer, editor, columnist, and corporate host. The list goes on. I'm sure there's 500 other things that he's bloody done.
So everything this podcast strives to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously...
What's our first response, Josh? Look, we're not journos, but...
Definitely not journos, trust me. You'll find out tonight why, I'm sure. If you guys want to go and check out everything else that he's done of probably one of about 20 pages on obviously Caney's media page, the website there, we'll drop that in the bio at the end. But welcome, mate. How are you, Michael?
Hi, guys. It's great to see you read the website. It was word for word there.
It was just a little bit. Thanks to your website, mate. It makes life very easy to find out exactly what the hell you do when you've written it there for us. That helps magnificently. How you been, mate? How's everything going? How was your New Year? How was Chrissy?
Yeah, really good. I mean, obviously quite like most people, would have loved to have got away, but didn't get the chance. But look, I think there's a lot more people around the world doing it tough than us. So, I mean, spending it in the Hunter isn't a bad thing, is it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Where else would you rather be?
I was meant to spend it in the Hunter.
Yeah, I was about to say. we were both meant to spend it in the Hunter. Obviously, born and bred in Newcastle. Obviously, living in Melbourne these days. So, scorching hot. It's hot today. Freezing cold probably tomorrow. So,
yeah.
But chat. Obviously, whacking in the chat there. We're going to speak to him obviously in regards to obviously the Newcastle Jets. Novocastrian boy, so he loves the Jets. We'll talk to him about obviously the Viduka special and obviously everything in media in regards to the A-League and so forth. We may as well start off obviously talking to you about obviously a little bit about yourself, mate. So Novocastrian born and bred, I believe.
Yes, yeah. Look, I grew up in Adamstown, so I'm an Adamstown Rosebud.
Man.
Is there. Actually had 1 year with Austral United, which I was playing in the under 16 side. I think Andy Roberts, who we'll be having on, he was in the under 18 team at the time. Enjoyed my time at Austral, then went back to Adamstown, and I made it to reserve grade. I never played a first grade game, unless a Western pre-season counts. So I played one game, which was the top grade for Adamstown. But back then it was like 1989, 90, and that's when Adamstown were. They were like Edgeworth now.
Yeah.
They were just unbeatable. Well, they used to win minor premierships. They just struggled winning grand finals. But it was a good group of players that just kept on coming back and playing for the club because they love the club. Pretty much the same what you're probably finding with Edgeworth at the moment.
Yeah. Adamstown boy myself, mate. So, played plenty of seasons there of the Buds in the State League and everything else. So, good on you there. Good colours. The red and the green. And you count every game, mate. So even if you got it for 2 minutes in the only game, you count that. That's
exactly.
You count what you can, mate. I would.
Well, I played one season for, there was a club called Wickham, Croatia, which I think Andy might have played for, I think. And its home ground was Passmore Oval, as hard as a rock, which I suppose was a bit like an oval in the back in the old days.
Yep.
But yeah, enjoyed my time. Look, I grew up watching Newcastle in all, incarnations, whether from KB United to, when it went to Newcastle Rosebud United.
Yep.
I think it went back to Newcastle United in the State League, and obviously the Breakers. But, I suppose growing up, being an Adamstown boy, when they were playing at, they're called Newcastle Rosebud, I was, fortunate enough to be a ball boy. So I got the best seat in the house every second week, in front of Ralph Mayer, running down the sideline, overlapping Joe Sinkowski and just all those players, and seeing some of the best teams in the country. Sydney City, remember the Sydney City side of the early 80s? So they were, Cosmina. It was practically the Socceroos squad, minus about 3 or 4. And you got to see them close up, and it's sort of, in a funny way, it's sort of the way that all came about was when KB United folded, and Newcastle and Adamstown had to come in and help them out and keep them in the NSL fold. And I suppose it wasn't for, Adamstown could have just sort of said, no, don't worry about it, and it would have been lost for a few more years. And the sad thing about it is, we nearly came to that conclusion again, where we've got to get the bail the Newcastle Jets out, which thankfully that's happened.
Yeah.
Happened a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit obviously about that as we go on. Obviously, obviously it was dire straits there for a long time. Obviously, even before this, obviously years ago, with your Tinklers and stuff like that, there's always been dramas with obviously the Jets, and unfortunately, as a Jets fan from day one, there's been some good times, but unfortunately, there's been plenty of bad and low times as well for the club, which is sad to see. But obviously, you became a journalist and so forth, but I believe you were a late bloomer. Is that correct?
Yeah. Look, I was a carpet layer for like 20 years, and it was the natural progression from carpet laying was to be a journalist. Yeah. So I somehow got there. I started a radio show which was on 2NURFM. Correct. On a Monday called Football Frenzy. I think I even had Andy on a few times. And it was just I don't know why I was doing it. It was almost like all my mates were saying, Caney, you're like 35 years old, you're having a midlife crisis, you think you're 16 again, starting a radio show, and maybe I thought I did, but it was a case of the amount of people that I had on the show. Yeah, it was building connections, and those connections sort of got me to the next step. When you have people from SBS and Fox Sports on every week, Simon Hill, Les Murray, all those people, it amounted to something just from this weird idea I had in my head, and it just snowballed from there. From that, I picked up some work with SBS when I think Marianne Rudin was sick, and I had to go down to a Newcastle Jets Asian Cup match and do the interviews after the game for SBS. Like, I thought all my Christmases had come at once, and next thing you know, I'm doing some shifts on the World Game program when it used to be a magazine program. Yeah. And next thing you know, I got tapped on the shoulder to, go to South Africa for the World Cup reporting. Yeah. I'm still laying carpet. Like, it's crazy. Better camp than me. Yeah. But what it gave me that body of work to go on and show to other places like NBN News and then, later on at Channel 10, 10 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, well, obviously, you talked to
Joshy, our good friends at NBN.
Our good friends at NBN, yeah. stealing all our interviews. Good on. Yeah, you were saying there, obviously, the 2010 World Cup, you got your chance to go over there. There's obviously, other things as well that you were doing as well. I believe you won the Commonwealth Games. You're in the Olympics as well. Obviously, great, highlights as a media journalist. What were those like? Obviously, getting your chance to go over there and. Yeah,
it's great because the thing is too. I mean, it's exciting, but at the same time too, when you've never done it before, and when you're going there as a job, you're shitting yourself, because when you're a fan, you go over there and you have a great time, but when you're working, you're wanting to do a good job, so you never get to relax. Even time you're rehearsing lines or doing research and stuff like that, because you're always worried about how you're going to look and how you're going to be on camera. So in a way, it was a great experience, but it's almost like a blur, because it just happens. It came and went, and then next project, but they're great experiences, and never in my wildest dreams would I say I'd go to any of those things, and not even as a fan, and here I was getting paid for it. I mean, God, I'm a fraud.
And a Novocastrian, obviously laying carpet to bloody on the media central at the Olympics and South Africa and stuff like that. And honestly, it doesn't get any better. What happened?
I've just noticed something. I've been looking for this for ages. Michael, you wrote the article, Jets woes get flicked.
Did I?
You did! The article is on FTBL, and the image that came up, I got tagged in it years ago because it's me with my mouth wide open standing next to my partner, screaming my head off.
And here I was, thought he just dropped the bloody... We'd gone off live or something like that. I thought he just made a mistake.
I thought I knew the article. I thought I remembered the title of the article. I'm like, no, it can't be.
And in the one of 500,000 bloody things he's done, he's got no idea he wrote it.
Yeah!
He'll claim it.
All I remember is my Facebook blowing up one day. Everyone's like, oh, look, you made it in the news. And I'm like, what? What are you on about? And it's a photo of me screaming my head off at a Melbourne City game.
Yeah, that was a few years ago, that one.
I mean, I also got to start with the Post newspaper, when it was still going. It was owned by Con Constantine. And he actually gave me pretty much my first start as a writer, believe it or not. And, I love him or hate him. He loves football. And I used to have to obviously do sport, but I also have to write his ghost column because, his column, I was his ghostwriter. Because he had trouble, getting words out after he, about 5 contros, from about midday. But it's funny, someone gave me, I was talking to Remo Nogarotto the other day, and he told me the funniest story on Constantine was, remember when it was the time when Newcastle United, the Premier League side, were looking at doing a takeover of the Jets, because at the time, I think they were looking for a coach, and Con says to Remo, and I'll do the Con accent, Remo, we need a coach. Who's the best coach in the world? And Remo said, well, at the moment it's Terry Venables. Well, let's go and talk to Terry Venables. So somehow they got a meeting with Terry Venables in England. So Con had never been on an aeroplane before. He came over from Cyprus by a boat, so he'd never been on an aeroplane. So he's shitting him. So they get to the front of the airplane, obviously first class. He's sitting next to Remo, and and he's nervous. He's shaking, and Remo says, "It's going to be all right, Con. It's going to be all right." And so the drinks trolley came down, and the lady says, "Would you like a drink, sir?" And Con goes, "I'll have a scotch on the rocks." And she's gone, "Oh, yeah, no worries, And Remo goes, "Con, it's 7 a.m. And it doesn't matter." So anyway, and he goes to his back pocket. He's like, he's about to pay for it. And Remo's going, mate, we're in first class. You don't have to pay. And Con goes, are you telling me that it's free all the way from Sydney to Heathrow?
Oh no!
So he looks at the lady and he goes, lady, leave the trolley here.
Wow. Oh, the great man. Far out. What a bloke. What a bloke. He done so much for Newcastle.
He did.
What a bloke. We talk about obviously, people, obviously famous people and stuff like that. Who's probably you've done plenty of interviews, I'm sure, with plenty of celebrities and sports and stuff like that. For the older generation, I believe there was one there, an Elle McPherson.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It's about Elle McPherson in Monty.
Oh.
Because I did a when I was at Channel 10, I went upstairs and somehow got a documentary series over the line called Passionate Players, which was like was a series on billionaires and how they spent their money. And one of the billionaires was the Australian Entrepreneur of the Year, Christian Beck, who owns InfoTrack, which is usually in the Sydney to Hobart, the yacht race.
Yeah.
So when you win the Australian Entrepreneur of the Year, obviously you go to the Worlds, and that happens to be in Monaco. And so part of the deal was to go to Monaco and cover it. And when they told me that Elle McPherson was in Monaco because she was a guest speaker, I went, wow, I need to get this lady on camera because, like, Australian, what she thinks about this Australian that's going for it. Hey, and
why not?
And it was like one of those clubs where she just swanned in with her entourage, and she was getting selfies with everyone. And we had the camera going, and I just went over to her, and I'm like, Elle, I had to really give her the quick pitch and the quick sell. I'm here from doing a documentary from Newcastle, Australia. Didn't your old man used to run the Sharks? Gowie. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm a big Sharks fan too. Oh, are you? Bullshit.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I just want a couple of answers from you. I only take 2 minutes. And she went, oh, okay, So I grabbed her hand, and we're walking through. Can you believe it? I've grabbed Elle McPherson's hand.
It's still standing.
And we quickly done it. And it was just one of those spur of the moment things. It was almost like that's when the news journalist kicked in, where I had to get it at every cost.
Yeah.
But I tell you, the one interview that really stands out, I remember when I was with NBN, they said, you've got to go down to the Lambton Park Hotel. And I said, what's that? And they said, the choir boys are out the back having a jam session. And I'm like, oh, that's in the beer garden. And I went, oh, this would be cool. Good pictures, I like the choir boys. And went through the back, and I couldn't believe it. I nearly fell over. He was David Hasselhoff. I swear to God, David Hasselhoff was at Park Hotel because Lizotte, which is just down the road, he was invited by Lizotte to come up for the afternoon to have a few drinks with him. Happened to be the choir boys just in the corner. Wow. Next thing you know, he's having a jam session with the choir boys at the Lambton Park Hotel. David Hasselhoff.
In English or German?
When he's drunk, I don't think anyone cares.
Was this before or after the cheeseburger incident?
He was before.
Because I was literally just about to go. You've gone from highs to Elle McPherson, then you've gone lows to Dave Hasselhoff.
They're just the memorable ones. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people you interview, and I don't know. There's people that you don't expect to impress you, and there's the people that you really expect to be great, and they're not that great.
Yeah.
Steve Waugh. Yeah, but it's a case of like, when you meet them, it's almost like they go into that actor's mode. When you start to hear them, it's almost like they're in autopilot. You can't relax. So.
No, I suppose
what I've just done. I'm getting very dark here. Do you want me to turn a light on?
Yeah, up to you, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Go nuts.
Right, yeah. Give me a sec.
Go nuts.
Just talk between yourselves.
Yeah. We'll go through the chat.
Did you get the photo, George? I'll have to post it in the Discord.
I'll post it in there. Thanks, Lockie, for the birthday messages. I'll get the question to Michael as well. Dylan Smith as well. Thanks for the birthday love. Obviously, be sure to go. Well, Michael's just moving set. Well, shout out to Lockie as well and Gabrielle Ma Optometrist. Be sure to go check out our major sponsor down there at Jesmond for all your eye care needs as well. Specs in the chat. There it is. There we go. A bit of light. There he is. Look at that. The pool looks good, mate. How long did that take you? You said you were sorting that out.
Pool. Yeah. Oh no! Yesterday it was just I've got travertine tiles and they had to be sealed. And yesterday was the perfect day. It was like
not too
it was
hot.
dry, warm, and I just had to get it done. And I got really sunburnt, but
Absolutely. Lockie's just put in the chat. What's your favourite sporting moment in Australia, or one of the most memorable?
Jeez. I think I know you talk about the Aloisi penalty. I mean, it's sort of everyone says that, but I think when they were in, not so much one game, but I think when they were in Germany, it sort of broke that drought of World Cup finals. It was just a great time to be a football supporter in this country. Whatever those 3 group games, and obviously the Croatia game, and where it could have happened if had we got the rub of the green against Italy, but that's, I suppose, one of those things in folklore, and these are talking points. You know what I mean? Like, we have VAR now, which is supposed to be so clean cut, but a referee's decision really, is a referee's decision. Just like you try to think of a sport that hasn't got technology these days. You're really struggling there. Golf. Everything else has got it. So I don't know, mate. Maybe it might have been a different decision had we had technology, back then.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely. Obviously, we were talking about, obviously, I think a little bit before, the 3-part documentary. If anyone hasn't seen it, what was it called? The Passionate Players, is that right?
Certainly is, yeah.
Yeah, Passionate Players, yeah. Be sure to go check that out. But yeah, obviously, Newcastle boy, I think Lucas has put in there, hope Maitland's treating you well. That's from Lucas in the chat. There you go. Did you ever find the Panther? Now, I was scooting through some...
yes!
I was scooting through some stuff on the internet, obviously, over the last week, having a look and seeing what you'd been up to and interviews and stuff like that. Grant Denyer, out at his home in Bathurst when you were with Channel 10, hunting for the Panther, the famous Panther. Is it out there?
Yeah, look, I love zany stories. You know what I mean? I like something different that people are going to remember. And guess what? You guys remember it.
Yeah.
You don't want to do boring stuff. And look, he did something on Instagram. I think he had a video of this hole in his backyard, and it looked like a panther's den.
Yeah.
And he believed he saw it. And so I gave his wife a call, who's his manager. Jesse, and I said, I'd love to do a story on this. She said, well, we've actually got vision of it, on an iPhone, but it's from a distance. And I'm like, oh, here we go. It's probably just a dog. Yeah. But I don't know, from a distance. I mean, it was on, we put it on the television, and it actually looked like dogs don't prowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had a strut, and I don't know. And what some of those holes down the back of his property, I don't know. I mean, maybe I have to ask the general. I think he probably have a few panthers up at CM way too, I reckon, if you ask him. But it's funny you say, I'm actually trying to do, I'm writing some books at the moment, and sort of one of them has been put on hold till next year probably now, which is on Grant Denyer, his life story. And, he's in the jungle with Channel 10 at the moment.
Yeah.
But his wife's, she's heavily pregnant, so they just haven't got that much time at the moment. But
very interesting bloke. He's a very interesting bloke.
That's some ups and downs, and I think that's I think he's been a very guarded bloke in regards to that. And that's why when you get people that don't really usually talk or do interviews like that, that's when you got some gold, because you're gonna you're gonna get some. If you don't really have to dig deep to go.
Nah.
Get what you want,
And that's the thing. A lot of people, obviously, even just watching, people who are watching, obviously, him now in the jungle, may not have known, that he was a V8 supercar driver and stuff like that. He was on the grid. Yeah. He was on the grid when Peter Brock tragically passed away. He broke down. He broke down on TV the other day for it. Amazing.
Yeah. An amazing survivor, especially in television too, because television these days, it's sinking like quicksand, and it's not as good as being in television as what people think, especially now. It used to be, there was the good old days.
Yep.
But the good old days are way gone now. And that's why I got out, to be honest. It was my decision to leave Channel 10. There was redundancies there, and I could have, I didn't get asked, and I went upstairs and I said, I want one. And they said, what are you talking about? We don't want you to leave. And I said, well, I'd rather save someone else, on the floor, because I'm done. I've done everything I can do here. And it just got a bit frustrating in the end, I think, because 80% of the time I was doing NRL stories, and I just got sick of it. It was just you're chasing grubs, you're chasing, scandal, and it's just and this is what we talk about football, is that, we always, the rugby league people, they always talk about football as in, hooligans, flares and stuff like that. There's more drama in rugby league than the A-League. When was the last time there was an A-League scandal? I'm not saying that there's never been one, but like the NRL get off on it. It's almost like they have one every week. And
probably not since the mass wave of bannings from years ago. And those reports that came out would have been probably the last time we, as the A-League, had a scandal.
Yeah. I mean,
but apparently you do that once and we're all hooligans. Like, don't paint us all with the same brush.
Yeah. I mean, I was with Simon Hill today, and Harry Michaels, believe it or not. And I was talking about this very same subject, and I said I was doing a live cross for Channel 10 just before a grand final outside the Sydney Football Stadium, and it was like about 15 seconds before I went live, and all of a sudden, in my ear, I get the producer saying, "Oh, you've got to mention that there's been a flare being thrown outside the ground." And I'm like, right, well, was the flare thrown in anger? Was it thrown as a celebration? What was it thrown?
It's all about context.
Exactly. And they said, "No, well, you just got to mention it." I said, "Well, tell me what context it is." And they said, "No, you just got to mention it." And I'm hearing in my ear, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're on. I didn't mention it. And I got my ass ripped out by the producer at the end of the day, end of the night, because I didn't mention it. And I said, well, I'm not, it's almost like the only time Channel 10 would want to do a football story was when there was a flare thrown,
Yeah.
And that's that mainstream television, that has that, it's that rugby league mentality, the amount of times I went into Channel 10 and said, "Hey, I've got some great A-League stories," and they just went, "Nah, NRL." And you're fighting a losing battle.
Well, that's it. Obviously, you talk about good things like that. Obviously, Lucas has brought up a good one. The Football Writers Festival. Obviously, you were there. I believe was it Simon Hill or Foster?
I was interviewing. Well, Simon Hill was there, but I was interviewing.
Yeah, Foster. Yeah. So, what was that like? Obviously, how was that? Obviously, I'm sure there was plenty of interesting people there.
Well, with Fozzie, I mean, I had a brief from Benita Mercedes, who was running it, and she said, Fozzie's coming, and everyone's going to be talking about the state of the game, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But with Fozzie, we really want to talk about his humanitarian stuff now. He's moved from being in the mainstream media to doing what he's doing. He's doing a great job. And I thought, wow, I can do that, because I feel, it's important, especially in this day and age where a journalist probably has to do something different these days to survive. And it's funny, within the first 2 minutes, I may as well have just thrown my questions in the air, because all I do was talk about the state of the game in Australia, and I just let him go. Just like you used to see, like a wound up clock, like a energy bunny. Just I didn't even have to.
And he's a man that loves to talk.
And it was probably the highlight of the whole festival, because it was almost like he's been gagged. Well, not gagged. He just hasn't been, part of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, look, we went to Harry Michaels. Simon and I have been doing a few collaborations lately, and we went to Harry Michaels. He's got some money. He's still got a production company. Trying to pitch a football show to him, because there's a lack of football shows. There's, the show was going to be. I was going to produce it. We'd do some stories within it, but it was going to be Fozzie and Simon Hill, called The Outcasts.
Oh, wow.
Because nobody, I mean, you look at it in the Premier League, people, when Roy Keane, when Graham Souness, when Gary Neville sit on a chair and just pour their heart out, it's compelling.
Yep.
Yeah. Who's that here?
Yeah, exactly.
Because nobody wants to do it, because, it's almost like it's so sanitized,
Yeah, it is.
The clubs don't want that. And it's sad, you need that. And one thing that come up today was that, we're also sitting with which I can't mention who he was, but he's going to be an FFA board member pretty soon. And he was sort of like draining us for information. And we're sort of saying, well, the big thing here is that we've got people like Simon Hill, Daniel Garb, Smithies, Davukovic, all these great journalists. What they got in common? They're not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? it's a sad state of affairs. We need to get these people working again.
Correct.
More publicity for the game. I mean, Simon and Smithies and Davudovic have been doing a little bit for the FFA website, but that's not what they want to do. They don't want to do powder puff stories. Like it's
correct.
Not PR people. They want to do good stories, and there is great stories out there. Sadly, who's doing them? And where do you see them anyway? Fox Sports, they've ran the game into the ground. They ran their product down to bring it down to a bargain basement cost so they can redo it again. I've also heard today that they're going for the Premier League rights again. This is the reason why they're hanging on to the A-League. Wow. Or want to hang. All of a sudden, an about face.
Yeah, right.
Because you have the Premier League and the A-League, it goes together. I don't know if I believe Optus, but it makes sense now that it's like, what are the? They didn't want the game. All of a sudden, now they're sort of saying, oh no, we actually do want it now. And sadly, now the clubs will probably vote to keep Fox Sports.
Yeah.
And there's an agenda there. I mean, why is Simon Hill, the best commentator in the country, not working for them? It's Daniel Garb. It's he had Adam Peacock commentating. Nothing against him, but he's not a commentator. He's a great host. He's not a commentator.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Obviously, I've seen Simon Hill around. He must be living in Newcastle or something, is he? He's been around the Jets games. He was commentating a bit at the game. And
yeah. Well, Simon and I were... Laurie McKenna called us a few weeks ago and he wanted us to come in and just do a bit of media work for them, a bit of promotion, which we said, there was only a little bit of money left to do that. We were happy to do it, a couple of days a week each.
Yeah.
What happened there was that we went in there, we sat down. The first thing I noticed was there's not many people in there. And so this is it. And then we got told that, COVID-19 saved the Jets.
Yeah.
JobKeeper saved the Jets. If it wasn't for COVID-19, it would have wound up long ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then we realised how the seriousness of where the club was. And we realised there was, the media manager was an intern who did 3 days a week. By the end of the day, Simon and I, we went outside and Simon said, Caney, we got to sit Laurie down. And I said, exactly. So we can't take his money, So we went back in there and we said, Laurie, with this money you're going to give us, we forego it. Go out there and get a media manager for 5 days a week. Use that wisely because that's the minimum requirement for an A-League club.
Yeah.
To have a media manager that's on call. We can't, Simon and I can't do that. We're here to put the icing on the cake. We're going to do stuff like Facebook Live at training and interviews and really do a lot more promotion, which we still can do. But bring us back when the ship's steady, because again, you just need a little bit of stability there before any of that happens. And we were about to get unveiled the next day to the media, and we pulled the pin because again, it wouldn't have been fair to the club, and it certainly wouldn't have been fair to Laurie either.
Yeah, well,
I can't tell you the amount of times I've put my hand up to Laurie and said, "Hey, look, if you need any media work, like the graphics and stuff that they put online and stuff," I said, "If you need something done in a hurry, don't hesitate to ring me."
Oh, seriously,
I'll do it here from Melbourne and send it up to you. I don't care.
I mean, look, it's and the thing is too. Look, I worked under the Constantine regime as well, and. When I was also writing, for the newspaper, I also, did a little bit of work upstairs as well. And you see how hard it is for these A-League clubs. And hopefully now that there is this, the separation, before with the FFA, look, things like, selling corporate boxes, or selling sponsorship, the FFA had this, mandate saying, well, we're sponsored by Hyundai. You can't go to a car company. So it's like, okay, so we can't go to Holden, we can't go to Toyota, we can't, right, okay. We're also sponsored by Qantas, so you can't go to an airline. We're also sponsored by Solo, so you go to a drink company, you can't go to milk, you can't go to orange juice. It narrows that field.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, I mean, who are you getting a sponsor from the...
Actually, that just shows and puts a lot into perspective as to why we're missing some major key sponsors. Not just us, the Jets, but in the A-League in general over the past 15 odd years.
Well, you think of it, like, I mean, we talk about there is big firms in Newcastle, multinational firms in Newcastle.
Yep.
You go there and you say, right, we want you to sponsor the Jets. They're not the people that's going to make those those calls. They're in Sydney. So, again, you're talking to the wrong people. You have to go to the people in Sydney who have already probably allocated money to AFL or rugby union or other A-League clubs.
Yeah.
Because we've got some multinational, firms in Newcastle doesn't mean that you can just walk in and away you go. It's tough. And again, even selling corporate boxes, it's a tough sell,
Yep.
At the moment, the way the A-League is, and I know this for a fact. I mean, I know a lot of people at SBS. SBS got a consultancy firm in to tell SBS what they should be showing. Right? So it's a case of, these people, these hot shots from a consultancy firm coming in going, hey, A-League, no one's watching it. It's not hot at the moment. Basketball, Ben Simmons, NBA, that's hot. Next thing you know, SBS has got the NBL, and they're visibly, and you can see it, they're not doing as much with football as what they used to. Yes, they got the World Cup. How long are they going to hang in for? I've been told they're actually bringing the sport down even further. There's some journalists that work for SBS News, sports journalists, that are now doing news stories. The only stories that tonight you probably would have seen the Test match cricket because it's a big sports story. But the rest of them are out doing news stories. They're and they're concentrating now on the Tour de France coverage and stuff like that when it comes to big broadcasting. So it's a worry. And with the Women's World Cup rights, this is where, that's a real carrot, that the FFA, they should be using that, to get some networks that want to play ball. Sadly, they want the World Cups, but but they don't want the A-League. Like, this is where you've got to be strong in these situations and say, if you want this, you're gonna have to show the A-League.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a big thing with Channel 10 I've found as well. Obviously, they've lost so much sport. Obviously, they're struggling to hold on to the V8 supercars at the moment, if at all. And obviously, they've lost so much as well. Obviously, I think they had the Big Bash at one point.
Well, that doesn't help with the V8 supercars when you've got a guy called Warburton who is, on the board for the supercars, but also works for Channel 7.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He used to work for Channel 10, so he knows Channel 10's plays.
Yeah.
Channel 10 were never in a position to keep that V8 supercars because of the inside running of a man that's on the board for the V8s and also works for Channel 7.
Yeah. I mean, circling back again, you mentioned that, Channel 10 saying, no to the A-League and whatever, they weren't interested. Yet, sure as shit, a couple of years down the track, one of their sister channels broadcasting the A-League.
Yeah.
What was the deal there like?
Well, I mean that it's a couple of seasons ago now. Was it when we had the Saturday night game? That was purely due to the Fox arrangement where they had to have a free-to-air channel. Fox paid Channel 10 $2 million a year to show those games. It was like a paid advertisement. So I went upstairs and I said, why don't we actually promote these games? Because people would, and put it on the main channel because people would actually watch it. And they said, well, we're getting paid $2 million. This is what they said. We're getting paid $2 million. Why should we have to promote it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like an ad. It's like paying for an ad. That's what it was.
And it was Fox Sports commentators as well, if I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, it was all syndicated.
Yeah.
At least when SBS did it, I think they had their own commentators.
They had their own commentators, absolutely.
But, again, they had this focused on having the Wallabies and obviously the supercars, Big Bash. They had a lot of things going on, but they probably didn't realise they're going to be in a position that they're in now, where they're. Honestly, I nearly fell over laughing when just before I left. I heard that they were actually going for the Shoot Shield.
Oh wow!
Rugby, the club Sydney Rugby Division.
Jesus Christ! Well, I've got one question, obviously media-wise, before we jump into the Viduka topic. It's purely for me. I don't know about other people and stuff like that, but I remember back in the day when I was younger, and I used to love listening to the A-League and stuff like that, or even the NSL on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, I used to listen to the radio commentators and just mute the TV most of the time, just because I found a lot of that radio. What do you reckon? Obviously, I know it's a dead. I know it's. Oh, I don't even know how you'd word that. It's a very dead industry as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, in radio sport, obviously they do it on the AFL down here in Melbourne and stuff like that, which is great. I listen to the radio. I'd listen to, you know, the friggin' Friday night friggin' footy on the radio and turn the shit off on Channel 7. What do you feel that we should be doing something there?
Well, again, it comes down to, you know, you can't just
Thoughts?
or, you know, anyone can't just walk up to the stadium and just plug a cord in. It's all done through the broadcasters' deals. You know, ABC we're doing it. I think are they still doing it?
I seriously, I don't know. It's so hard to find.
It's so hard to find.
It's so hard to find. You might get the one odd. Like, I remember listening, obviously, Newcastle. We talk about Newcastle. You know, Phil Dando used to be on. I think it was ABC.
Yeah.
And you know, he would do it. You know, it was. I don't know. I just find the commentary's good.
That's the thing too, is that, you know, it's great that ABC were doing it, but I also know that the guys like Aaron Carney and Phil Dando that were doing it, I don't think they were getting paid to do that. Like, it was almost like the labour of love that they wanted to do it, and that's different. You know what I mean? You've got to have people that want to do it, because I don't think ABC was into it. It was just a case of, you know, setting it up.
I don't think it was much. I've met Phil plenty of times, been a Liverpool supporter and stuff like that, and I think you're about right. I think they probably didn't pay for the travel if they went over, or if they had to travel, but that was pretty much it. Yeah, you know, they got pittance to sort of do it. So again, I don't know. It's just something in my opinion that I don't mind. You know what I mean? Like, I suppose it brings it back to, obviously, you know, you were talking about Adam Peacock and stuff like that. We've been lucky enough to have Peacock on. Great bloke, you know, knows his stuff and, you know, stuff like that. But as you said, he's not a commentator.
Look, it's a tough being a commentator. It's a tough gig. I mean, I've sat next to Simon when he commentates, and, you know, like, his preparation for one game is ridiculous. You know, it's almost like, and it's down to a T. You know, like, when the first throw in comes, target number 3 for Perth Glory, it's his birthday this week. You know, like, the camera flicks straight onto it. Wouldn't happen these days, because they've got 6 cameras and only 3 cameramen operating them.
Yeah. It was like, right? Ben we had Garby on. When we had Garby on, remember the photos he was sending us, like some of the old stuff.
Some of his show notes. Yeah.
It was like, he said there was this one photo. I can't remember who it was that was sitting next to him. I think it was Bozza or something. Sitting next to him, he's got like a freaking. Bozza's got like a notepad, and like, and then Garby's got this whole friggin' desk, and it's got shit everywhere.
He's got stuff everywhere.
I'm just like, holy shit. He goes, but it's all about being prepared. It's the little things, as you said. You know, it's old mate's friggin', you know, 100th game, or it's for, you know, he played for this junior club or whatever it is. That, you know, most people probably don't give a shit, but did he? Christ, you know, that he's gone to the effort and the time to find out who the hell he played for as a junior, or, you know, who was his long life, coach or whatever,
And I mean, I know there's been a bit of debate in especially social media, in regards to, you know, Brenton Speed and, you know, Steve, the Fox Sports boss, having a go. That tweet was directed at Simon Hill. There's no and it's unfair on Brenton as well, because he's one of the best commentators when it comes to any sport.
He's very multifaceted.
Well, I remember I was told once that he did a rugby league game at Brookvale, and was about to go home, and it was around the time when the French Open was getting played, and he got a phone call saying, our commentator's sick, you're going to have to come in and do the French Open. And Brookvale to Fox Sports had to do it, obviously, over through the television, but then all night doing, you know, the French Open with no prep work, you know. So to do, you know, rugby league to tennis, again, different types of commentary, you know, and to do that. He's probably one of the best AFL commentators as well, if you've ever listened to AFL. 100%. So I mean, that's why Fox Sports love him, because he is so multifaceted. You know, he's got strings to his bow where they're probably saying, "Oh, Simon, all he wants to do is football." You know, well, you know, to me, it's always important to have someone that knows what they're doing, and Simon's one of them.
100%. Who was it, Ben, when you said bluntly to Peacock? I think it was about Tara Rushton, where you virtually said, how isn't she getting... If she doesn't want to do it, fair enough, but we're like, surely she has to have a chance. Like, she knows the game inside and out.
I was about to say, she knows the game, she knows the teams, she knows the players inside out. Why not give her a crack?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's down to her, but... I'd be up for it.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. I mean, look, you don't know what's in their contracts, you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to do that. Maybe she just wants to be on the couch being the host, and good on her, you know. But I think also, too, I mean, with the whole live streaming these days, I mean, you know, there's so many up-and-coming commentators as well that can do an adequate job.
Yeah.
And it's almost a case of, well, if you can do an adequate job, well, you may as well just do the job.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the sad thing about it, is that nearly good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
Driving, you should have a better standard than that. And like I say again, and they'd probably do it for bargain basement cost, you know, compared to what Simon Hill would ask. But you know, like, you're not going to, you know, cut your wages when that's your bread and butter, you know. You know, and that's what's happened. You know, it's a case of, we can get people in to do the job, and we save money.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about the state of the game at the moment, the way it is. It all comes down to that very last dollar.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very dollar dependent at the moment.
Anyway, we're going to get into the Viduka scenario, because I've been wanting to obviously, you know, find out a little bit how he's travelling and, you know, what he was like off air as much as what he was like on air. Because obviously, you know, let's be honest, Viduka, one of the best strikers Australia's ever produced. You know, gun from a very young age. Obviously, we've had Branko Kalina and obviously ex-coaches and that on the show who obviously just rave about him. And, you know, from watching him as a young bloke, obviously on the opposition as a coach and stuff like that, you know, he was brilliant. He was streaks ahead of everyone else. How did it all come about? How did it all start?
Look, I was doing a documentary, or I was trying to put together a documentary called When Soccer Died, which was a very morbid title. It was sort of, you know, and I copped a bit of flack for that title as well, and I'm sort of going, well, we are sort of not doing too well. And it was meant to be a real shock value where people go, wow, watch this. I did all these interviews with so many people, Lucy Zelich, Craig Foster, Luke Wilkshire, you know, lots of ex-crews, you know, lots of people in the media, Ray Gatt, just people. And the one thing that sort of, as the interview went on, it was almost like we're talking about the old days, how great it was in the old days. Yeah. And then we spoke about the current day. It was almost like this sadness fell across the interview. And it was like, what? No. And the funny thing about it was that at one point, you know, for some reason, the name Mark Viduka kept on coming up, because at the time we said, well, we haven't even got a striker, really, an out-and-out striker. We have to rely on Tim Cahill to score goals.
Yep.
You know, where's our out-and-out? Where's a Mark Viduka's type person? And while we're at it, where the bloody hell is Mark Viduka? You know? And so when I was speaking to Ron Smith, who was also on who was the former AIS Institute of Sport coach, still talks to Mark a fair bit. And so he's talking to me, and I said, wow, everyone's talking about Mark Viduka. You know, do you still speak to him? He said, yeah, all the time. And I said, well, would he love to be on this documentary? And he went, well, I can only ask him. So he called him, and next thing you know, I get a call back from Ron saying, you know, look, he's agreed begrudgingly, but you better give him a call. So it was all these late night, you know, phone calls to Zagreb. And I think the thing that got it was the fact that all of a sudden he said, hang on, you're going to come here to do it, are you? And I went, yeah, this is before COVID. And I said, yeah, of course, you know, you'll get the best interview being face-to-face because I get to know you. And he went, wow, if you're going to come all the way over here to do that, then I'm going to do it. So, wow. So then I had to try and find the funds to get over there.
Yeah.
And I did, and that was a whirlwind trip. That was like, I was over there for 2 days. 3 days. I did an interview with Josip Simonic on the first day. I practically just got off the plane and went straight into an interview with him. And then the rest of the day just sort of filming around Zagreb. Then the next day I had like a day off, and I'm thinking, well, what could I do? I could go sightseeing, or I could get to try and meet Mark Viduka the day before the interview. And that's the big thing. If you can, I went up there to this cafe, and he said, yeah, sure, come up. I'm working, but I'll get some time off. And because his wife sort of runs the show.
Yeah.
And when I got up there, like I met him, and he was great. I met 2 of his 3 boys, who are all musicians.
Oh wow.
Okay, but they actually like music better. I expected to be at that cafe for only about an hour, and I was there for like 6 hours.
Jeez.
And we talked about everything. And it was almost like, at the end of it, I said, Mark, some of this stuff that you said, that usually, when people talk off camera, that's like, just between you and me type of stuff. And I said, some of the stuff is like massive, nearly all of it. I said, are you going to say this tomorrow on camera? And he went, if you want me to say it on camera? And I'm like, I would love you to say it on camera. And he said, sure. And he delivered. And
he's just brutally honest.
Well, the good thing about it too is that because I already knew the answers, it was like a kid in school that saw the test results, that saw the answers before the test came out.
Yeah.
So I knew what he was going to say. So it meant that it allowed me to go deeper into those answers. Because I could have just asked the question, gave me the answer, go to the next one. So no, I'm going to start digging a little bit deeper in. And to the point where you don't want to piss him off. So you dig a little deep, you dig deep a little bit further. And then when he's had enough, you pull out into the next question.
Yeah.
And a little, and then start digging again. And that's what got the best interview.
Correct.
But I 6 hours before was so valuable. And look, it's COVID now. Like, you can't even do it, a face-to-face interview. It's all via Skype and Zoom and all this stuff. People don't get it. You don't get the best interview face to face because it just doesn't feel feel real. And so I think if that was one thing that to learn for young journalists, is that if you can get the person face to face and spend time with them. Even when I was at MBN, I used to say to the work experience people, just try and speak to these people you're about to interview for 20 minutes before the interview, because you'll get so much more out of them when the interview actually happens. Because they're all nervous and,
You're going to make them feel comfortable, feel welcome.
Correct.
Exactly. And then if you say, listen, we're not live, if it was live, then you'd be shitting yourself. We're not live. There's nothing to be worried about.
Yeah.
And also, you see that block of concrete roll off their shoulder and they go, and you get the best interview out of them. And that was pretty much the same with Mark Viduka. But in saying too, he had an axe to grind. It was almost like he wanted to say things, and he had.
I was just about to say, he said, from listening to the interview, it was like a relief. Some of the stuff that you finally probably let out, and the frustration and stuff as well. Obviously, from the international camps and stuff like that he was stating about, and even his retirement of why he sort of finished up with the Socceroos as well.
I mean, look, and the funny thing about it is that I found it, also the little stories away from those big breaking ones, those big, big answers that made news all around the place. It's almost like he wanted to talk about the things away from the game, like the times he had at Leeds, and you wouldn't believe how much he loves Leeds United, and that's the one thing I have it's not a regret, because he got a bit shitty after it, because I think he realised he said too much about Leeds United, because in the interview where he mentions he nearly joined Manchester United, Leeds United had no idea, and he had this great relationship with Leeds even to this day, and he felt like, man, I just let the cat out of the bag, that I nearly betrayed them all those years ago He didn't. He stayed loyal, but just he didn't sit comfortably with him, and so I don't think he actually thought that interview was going to be as big as what it ended up. So little things like that where he sort of went, oh no, because you got to remember, like when he was at Leeds, he could have went to AC Milan, he could have went to Manchester United, Middlesbrough, because he wanted to live in Leeds because he loves Leeds that much, and it's still a bit of a drive, but that's why he went to Middlesbrough and not continent, because of the fact that he loved that area, he loved people, still does to this day, and so he actually he wasn't too happy with me. I've cooled it over, but I know at the time I think he was sort of more peeved with himself, the fact that he let the bag.
Yeah, he got a little bit too relaxed and obviously letting some shit out. And
even the day before, like little things off camera that obviously didn't make it, where we're sitting there and he's got I'm looking across the cafe and I said, is that lady over there, is that he said, yeah, that's the Croatian president.
Wow.
In your cafe,
Yeah, right.
He goes, you wouldn't believe 2 days ago Henrik Larsson walked in. He's backpacking through Europe.
Oh wow.
And that's the thing too. He said, he goes, I loved Henrik, and I said, well, how, he was Swedish and Croatian. He said, no, his mother was Croatian.
Celtic legend.
So that's where he goes, we bonded at Celtic because of that little connection. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Things like that, and on how these friends were formed. And there was another fellow that walked in and he said, see that guy there? I said, yeah. He said, he trains Goran Ivanisevic. He owns the gym. And when Goran comes back, he's a tennis coach now for Djokovic.
Yep.
He trains Goran. I went, oh, wow. So he came over and met him. And next thing you know, another guy came in and he was half Aussie, half Croatian. And he said, wow, another Aussie. And I said, what brings you here? And this guy said, well, the tennis system in Australia is so crap, junior tennis, that I've brought my daughter over to Croatia to get properly coached in Croatia.
Oh,
That's football here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so Duke said, well, see that guy over there, he coaches Goran Ivanisevic, he trains him in the gym, but Goran, apart from coaching Djokovic, also has a junior academy here in Croatia. Why don't we try and see something up, and because at the time, he wasn't happy with his daughter's coach in Croatia.
Yeah.
So they sort of started talking, and next thing you know, we're FaceTiming Goran Ivanisevic in this little chat.
Wow.
That's how easy it is in Croatia to get things. And I actually said to Mark, I said, like politicians in your cafe, you could probably be in Parliament if you wanted to. He goes,
he's a matchmaker.
I probably could,
Far out. It's interesting though, because obviously you go from that interview to obviously then not long after that on the Optus Sports, obviously with then the likes of Skoko and stuff like that little interview thing that they done a couple of weeks or over a couple of weeks or whatever it was, and then him talking about obviously the boys playing over there and the difference in obviously what it's like to play football over there compared to here, the money side of things. It costs thousands of dollars here, and the kids are lucky to play 15 games a year over there.
Well,
it's
prime example. I mean, Paul Ocon, he's got 3 boys, and one of them's they all play, but there's one that's really good, and I forget his name. But Paul's now living in Belgium because to give that kid the best possible chance to make it.
Correct.
He's got to go.
Correct. Yeah.
Builds kids in Switzerland, just like Mark Robinson's sons at Manchester City.
Yep.
Because they believe in this system. This system isn't here. They need to go over to get that. And even with coaching,
Yeah.
I mean, Mark's
I wholeheartly agree. The system's not here in place.
Absolutely, the coaching system. I mean, some of the coaches that have their tickets here still have to go for a lot more, seminars and tickets overseas. Like
Kevin Muscat, prime example.
Yeah. I mean, Mark's got his tickets. He could actually manage tomorrow if he wanted. And not that he wants to, he said, but he goes, what he said, the English FA, I think, paid for his tickets. Got it done, and he could be a manager tomorrow if he wants. But again, he loves his family, and it's a big commitment. He says it's just like with being a player. He said you feel like a prisoner going from a prison to prison, when it comes to a club. And when you think of it, when a professional footballer is even when he went to Celtic, it's almost like the people at that club are the only people that he really knows. He doesn't, and it's like, that's his family. And then he's off to another family, and then another family, and another family. Yep. And that's the same with managers, being a manager over there, because managers, you have...
It's so cutthroat.
5 losses in a row, and you're out the door. So, and you've got to remember, those managers have families as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, obviously he likes, all these, every former Australian, Tim Cahill now reckons, supposedly looks like he might be getting his first managerial stint. His son's just signed over there as well in England. It is what it is. Those sort of interviews, obviously, the Mark Viduka one you've done, and a few. If everyone in the chat hasn't seen the Mark Viduka interview, go check it out because it's a great interview, as well as the Opta Sports one with I think it was Schwarzer was there, and Vinny Grella, obviously over there. I think he's in Italy or something.
Oh, that was the one with about the 6 of them, wasn't it? It was
like 6 of them or whatever it was, but it was really good. That one. It was really good to get an insight of actually how poor it is over here compared to Europe.
I'm actually talking with Vince about a book as well, because as some people know that he's a player agent in Italy now.
Correct.
In Italy, yeah.
Smokes about 200 cigarettes a day and drinks about 20 coffee an hour. I think he's struggling on over 35 paddock at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking a bit rough there last time I looked at him.
So that's probably going to be me in 10 years, Josh.
10 years, you keep yourself a bit of
200 cigarettes a day and 1 million coffees.
That's about...
Over 45 side in Maitland.
No, I'll just go do what my old man's doing. He's just started walking soccer.
Was it walking soccer? Yeah.
Doing walking soccer.
No stress.
Like my old man's, 67?
Yeah, get into it.
He's playing walking soccer and he's had two heart attacks and he's a pack-a-day smoker.
Well, I played over 5 years ago and it was walking soccer back then for me.
Nah, honestly, we're gonna slowly wrap it up. Obviously, we can sit here for hours. This is the main reason why we're not friggin' journos, because we just sit here and chat.
We waffle on.
Chat. But we might look at getting you on at some point shortly and talk. Ben and I are obviously looking at probably getting a few, obviously Novocastrians on, maybe Andy Roberts and stuff like that, and really, really dissecting the Newcastle Jets with everything that's now going on. New owners, obviously, the core. What we thought was...
Craig Johnson's living up the top of Newcastle. He's always good for a chat.
Mate, you teed up, mate. I'm there. I'd sent him a message. He wasn't having he's enjoying his time up in Newcastle, obviously, because he didn't reply.
Yeah.
So...
But again, it's a matter of, who's going to actually listen to him, and that's the sad thing about it, because things are so ingrained at the moment that new ideas sort of get chucked out the window as it's too risky. Well, what have we got to lose sometimes?
Well, 100%. I had, again, luxury of chatting to him for about 5 minutes when he popped into the Cafe Cafe there, the top of town, where obviously the Liverpool supporters get in and obviously watch the games and stuff like that. He come in with Phil Dando, and that's just the same thing. That's it. He's just got so much to give. He wants to do so much for the game, and that's the thing. No one listens.
Absolutely. I mean, just staying with just before we go, in regards to the relegation promotion and stuff like that. I mean, I've heard talk that the FFA want to go ahead with having a second tier, correct. And as you know, clubs voted against that. It doesn't stop the FFA from actually making their own second tier, which would put pressure on the A-League clubs to play ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, obviously, I think Ben and I have spoken to it on many occasions on the podcast and everything, and, it needs to happen. I feel it needs to happen to put pressure on the A-League clubs, but how it goes about it and how long it's going to take, I believe they'd have to set it up, they'd have to work it out, there'd have to be a couple of years at least where there is no relegation and stuff like that. Just to...
Will you imagine if they did that, brought some of those journalists that are sitting on their bum doing nothing, cover
the second division,
and it would make the A-League look silly. They wouldn't want that either.
No, 100%.
That's for the game to survive. You got to look at play to your strengths, and the FFA Cup is a strength. People love that because it's grassroots. It's it's club football again. Want to play? Why not? Add to that instead of worried about fixing the weaknesses that's play to the strengths. It'll be
100%.
being on a football field.
Oh, we're big fans of the FFA Cup games, especially going down to watch the Mariners lose against Green Gully.
That was a classic.
Then having their manager sacked the next day.
And then
while standing there in arms with all these Green Gully supporters because we're standing there in nothing but Jets gear.
Magic of the cup.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Adam Peacock picking us out.
Yes.
Two Jets blokes freaking got lost.
Yeah. Because it was like, we left indoor early, like, I think it was like half an hour early that day or something, because it was like 5 minutes down the road from where we play indoor.
Good times. Good times. But honestly, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to sit down and have a bit of a chat with you in regards to, obviously, you know, what you've done, obviously, in the media sector, and obviously a little bit touching on the Jets, but obviously Mark Viduka, honestly, it's, as I said, guys in the chat, if you have not seen it, go and check it out. It is amazing. Who knows? It might have opened the door for him to come out a little bit more. I'm sure he's got plenty of more stories or plenty of more things in his locker that he may not have opened up about. I could only
one thing that was cut out, that he did say that he wanted to come back and coach in the A-League.
Now there you go. And
Never enough.
Can you imagine the Kuhl versus Viduka derby?
Kills
Could you imagine?
No, but again, you know, it's a matter of a lifestyle shift for him, you know. And again, he's happy in Croatia. Yeah. And to be honest, too, he another club he loves is Melbourne, Croatia. You know, I think he'd love to come back and coach them.
I was going to say South Melbourne get the rights. He's on the plane, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Something like that. He'd be all over that. I suppose when his kids get a bit older and fend for themselves and stuff like that, I'm sure he'll probably
I can just imagine him managing Melbourne Knights while standing in the Mark Viduka stand.
Melbourne Knights. Mate, they're woeful. South Melbourne over the Knights. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. We do thank you, mate, for jumping on, having a bit of a chat. It's obviously pitch black now. It's a beautiful sunlight before.
I thought I was, you know, of the opera there for a while.
Take your time into the night. As I said, guys, be sure to go check out the Mark Viduka interview. Go check out the website as well that I found a bit of his bio on as well. Caney's Media, I believe it was. Go check that out. And other than that, guys, as well, be sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube. We're on Spotify now, Google Audio Google or some shit like that. Ben, does that sound about right?
Apple Podcasts,
Anchor
and Spotify. Google is still yet to get back to us after about 6.5 months.
This is waiting for the Craig Johnson interview. Just waiting for the Craig Johnson interview. They'll call us back straight after that, guaranteed.
They're slack.
So go check it out there. Go subscribe on the YouTube side. I think we're about 2 off hitting 200 subscribers. So thanks to everyone who watches this every week. Other than that, mate, good luck with everything you do. Obviously, whatever's next. Hopefully, see you at a few Jets games.
Yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure, guys, and keep up the good work, because this is what we need.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. No, we thank you for your time.
Very much.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, mate. No worries, guys. We're going to leave it there anyway. We'll be back obviously sometime this week. We're going to dissect the Jets Streams interview with Shane.
Oh, look, the General's in.
Oh, the General's in. There he is. Ben might just have to unmute him.
You'll have to do it on your end too.
Oh, what do we got here? Hang on, mate. The General was just...
And I'll have to do a bit of rearranging. So if you right-click on him in Discord and turn the volume slider up to about 100%. No, not 200, 100%.
Don't talk. Go about there. How you going, mate?
Good, boys. Yeah, great interview, that one.
There he is, and lurking in the background, obviously listening to Hollywood, as he calls him.
The Hollywood. Yeah, he's a good man, Hollywood. Very passionate about his football and knows his stuff. So, yeah, he's one to get involved in the game, and it was great to hear him.
Yeah, no, obviously, again, he's doing great things. He's had plenty for the sport. Sport in general, I should say. Obviously, he's done plenty of interviews for other codes and everything as well. And as he said, some of the blokes that are out of jobs at the moment, it's very interesting. Very interesting to see some of these, great.
There's a lot of big names out of jobs.
100%. And I suppose as well, though, they could probably come back they could probably come back at any time. You know what I mean? But they won't until, pardon me, it's 100% what they want to do, and who's going to listen to them? Because you know what I mean. I think Simon
Yeah,
Mills
it's
and
all,
stuff.
it's all well and good to have the idea, but
Yeah, they're not going to be sitting there going, you need, getting somebody in going, you need to read this shit. Simon Hill and that are going to look at that and go, yeah, no thanks.
yeah, no.
I'll just talk off the cusp and what I want to talk about, sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, we're going to talk about obviously obviously the Jetstream done a podcast. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Obviously with Shane, the new what do you want to call him? New CEO, new new guru. That
What's his title? We'll call him by his title. What is it?
Executive
director.
Executive director or something along those lines. It was interesting. I listened to it. I
listened to it too.
He's got good things in the pipe works. Andy, you were saying you got the pleasure of meeting him at the game.
Yeah, I did, boys. I was introduced through Laurie with Shane. So he's he loves the town. He loves Newcastle. Obviously, he's got an NRL background, but he knows football. He's got a massive support in the area, and they got big plans for the club. I'll tell you that from talking to him.
Yep.
A couple of new players coming in. There's going to be a new manager appointed. There's speculation about that. So they're there for the long term, and they're looking to find the right buyer as well, he was telling me. So, they're heavily invested in Newcastle, and they want to see us get back to where we should be. It's playing finals football, and I said to him, 18 months, 2 years ago, we were hosting a grand final, boys. So
that's it.
Now we're in front of a packed Energy Australia Stadium.
Yep.
And that's where we should want to be.
Absolutely.
Down the track. And we will be. We get the right people in place, and the people that are passionate about Newcastle and the team and the town. And, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. I think, obviously, if you haven't seen the Jetstream interview with him, go check it out. Because as he said, as Andy was just mentioning then, the four clubs, there's a mystery fourth.
There is a silent fourth.
Silent fourth.
That wishes to remain anonymous at the moment, but we do have assurances that when they want us to know who they are, we will sure as shit know who they are.
It's going to be the Central Coast Mariners, I guarantee.
That's not the Mariners.
Probably is.
It's not the Mariners.
No, mate, who would want to remain silent other than them?
It wasn't my first thought.
No, you were thinking City. I think
I was thinking City.
City's got plenty of money. It's a sure bet. But again, as he was saying, he said that obviously they're in it for the long term. But at the end of the day, they want to offload it, but they will not offload the club
to just anyone.
To just anybody.
Yeah, I think from my discussion with him, they're going to be here for 2 years. They're going to give them the Jets 2 years to find a new owner. And I know that they're talking to people already.
Yeah.
So Laurie's going to be involved in the club. Laurie's not going to be lost to the club because you've got to give Laurie credit where credit's due, because he's done so much work that doesn't get publicised about keeping the club there and whatnot, and keeping the daily operations running. Laurie's a fantastic guy, and he'll be involved in the club as well. So. Which is good to see.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the biggest thing, obviously, was, everyone's thoughts, Shane coming in, and obviously, surely that's the it for Laurie, you know what I mean? Like, where's he going to go? Where are they going to find the money to pay him? And all this sort of stuff. Yeah. So everyone was thinking that he was on the way out, but obviously Shane reassured all the fans that obviously he's not going anywhere. He is very much so. He will be the face of the club. Shane has pretty much stated that, it's Laurie's show. Shane will be in the background by looks, obviously running all the money side and obviously making sure that the club's financially stable and doing everything it can to obviously rectify its mistakes. I think the biggest thing for me was, out of the whole thing, was they are virtually classing it as a new club.
Yeah.
The way he worded it was, it's a new club. It's not...
Yeah, well, it's a new start.
That's it.
From it,
Yeah.
So, that was very much the mood when he was addressing the corporate people at the game the other day versus the Wanderers. It's a new start for the club, and it's a positive start.
Yep.
And they're looking to rebuild the club reconnect with the members, reconnect with the corporate people as well.
Yep.
And like I said, he's doing the right thing for Newcastle and the fans and the players. So can only be positive now.
100%.
Only ways up, boys.
And that's exactly it. And he stated that he wants to get involved with all the Newcastle businesses and try and work stuff out with the Newcastle business base.
He also wants to engage with fans too, which is very positive for people like us.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Doing forums and stuff like that. And as he said, he's like, whatever. If it has to be a Skype frigging thing or whatever it is, it has to be a Skype thing at the moment. But they will do whatever they can to obviously make sure that the fans feel involved, they feel part of the club, as we always have been, even in the past shit that we've been through. You've got to give it that. We've always been felt part of the club. Some fans may not see it that way, but I feel that we have, even with the Tinkler era and stuff like that. We knew what was going on. It wasn't a secret. Everyone, all the fans knew what was going on, and whether it was bad news or whatever. So at least we knew what was going on. So, but big things to come. Obviously for the Jets. Hopefully a win. Whenever the hell we play. When's it? Sunday, I think it is. I can't keep up with the fixtures.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday because Aiden messaged me going, so are you going to stream? Are you going to watch the game? I'm like, I'll be...
MacArthur, eh?
Yeah, MacArthur. I can't keep up with it anymore. I'm trying to put my tips in and shit like that.
Too many postponements, boys, eh?
Yeah. Putting in my weekly tips and shit, and it's like friggin' it's 5 games. You can still click on the friggin' postponed game. But on the My Football or whatever it is, where I'm part of the tipping comp or whatever it is, it doesn't say postponed. It just tells you all. It's got week 4 and there's like 500 games or whatever. I'm like, shit. Who are they playing?
I used to be able to come home from work, know that if I sat down on the couch on Friday night, that there will be a football game.
Yeah.
Same with Saturday, same with Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We're all out of whack at the moment. What day is it, boys?
Friggin' hell.
And I knew that the FFA Cup was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
All right, boys, love you.
Anyway, mate, take it easy, buddy. Enjoy.
Take it easy.
Over and out from the General.
See you, mate. Enjoy. Be sure to go check out the General, guys. Gentleman's Outfitters at Charlestown. Go down there and get all your suit needs and everything else. General's popped in, obviously, to have a bit of a chat and obviously listen to a mate of his. Top bloke. As we said, we thank Michael for jumping on. He's an absolute legend. But we're going to leave it there, guys. Thanks to everyone who's jumped in. Luke, obviously, as always, is here. Lockie was in here as well at one point. And obviously, I think Jake Inwood. Hello, mate. Not sure if you've been in here before, but thanks very much. If you haven't subscribed, mate, go do so. That'd be muchly appreciated. But yeah, as I said, guys, it was a little bit rusty for the first one. I figured, I'm not going to lie, guys. I had a list full of shit, which is still sitting on my work computer. First day back at work, and
I think the best way to go about
it is
how this podcast worked is
we
didn't approach Michael. Michael actually approached us.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it was sort of like that because it was a very different interview to what we would normally do.
Yeah.
The style, the tone, it's completely different.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I had no idea. I knew who he was. I'm not going to lie again, purely because of the Mark Viduka interview. I had no idea he was a Novocastrian. Or anything like that. I had no idea he was involved with the club. So, but it's people like Michael, obviously, who jump on and obviously, approach us and, try and help us out, which we thank him immensely, Without him, obviously, friggin' we wouldn't... Possible interviews to come, you look at the list that he must know. To only ask and go, is there anyone that we might be able to get? And him go, he's pretty keen, such and such, he's very keen for a chat. He's always up for a chat. Sweet as, friggin'...
I just don't believe that during the part way of that interview that... Because I saw the title of the article and I'm like, I know that title. I'm pretty sure that's the one that my head's on. It's not on his website.
Nah.
But it's the same article because he's got the article on his website that he's written.
Yeah.
As like a piece.
Yeah.
And then he's put it on FTBL.
Yep.
As well, or football. .com.au, which is a football news website.
Yep. Bloody. Welcome, Oops. Yeah.
I've got to do it.
He's going to put on. But anyway, guys, while Ben quickly does that, we're going to sort of wrap it all up. We obviously, as I said, we thank everyone for jumping on and having a listen. Share it around again if you've missed it. Or if you've come in late or anything like that. As Ben said, it was not something that we would normally do. It's a lot of stuff in there that's probably not football related.
It's good though.
But at the end of the day, friggin' Elle McPherson, as if you wouldn't want to try and talk to her. Bloody hell. There it is.
That one. It's that one. See? Right there.
Well, if we go, just don't mind me, Ben.
No, hang on.
Yeah, we have to resize it. But look at Ben's face right there. Isn't that
that is a passionate fan.
That's Ben giving it to the city bloke.
Sarah was freezing.
Probably had a gutful by then.
I remember the game because it was a Thursday night game against Melbourne City, and I met Super Dill at Beer Deluxe after work.
Correct.
Because he came down for it, and I met Sarah in the city as well. Obviously, you can tell she's not too impressed.
It was a very fit, very look. Mate, were we playing soccer back then?
We were in the days of fucking Noddy, mate.
Yeah, I was
Noddy. That was during the Stubbins era.
Yeah, but I was going to say, friggin', was that back when you were playing at Satellite? You were looking friggin' pretty slim Jim there.
Yeah, probably was. It was a couple of years ago now. 2017.
Yeah, 2017. That's when it was.
2017.
The year that we played for Satellite. There you go.
I remember the game. It was fucking 40 degrees that day.
Yeah, it was hot.
It was bloody hot because you can see that half my forehead is sunburnt.
Yeah, it was a hot day. But
yeah, I was giving it to him. I couldn't remember who I was giving it to, but I was sure as shit giving it to someone.
Yeah, no. Obviously the borders are back open. Yeah, get excited. There he goes. See you, General.
Probably Thomas Sorensen.
Ben's just dropped because General's gone.